and County Meals on Wheels. And today we are going to make a really simple recipe for a caprese chopped salad. So this recipe includes mozzarella cheese, tomatoes, basil, as well as some olive oil and some balsamic vinegar. And so this recipe is really nice because it doesn't involve using like the oven or stovetop. And so for summertime, it can be really a good recipe to use that doesn't heat up the house and still gives you, some veggies and a little bit of protein with that mozzarella cheese, as well as some calcium from that mozzarella as well. So so we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first thing we're gonna do is make sure that we wash our tomatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. So after we wash our tomatoes, we can go ahead and start slicing them. I'm gonna go ahead and just slice them on a plate. Just gonna go ahead and cut them in half. I like bigger chunks of tomatoes, so I'm just gonna cut them right in half. But you could also do fourths if you like maybe a little bit smaller chunks as well. Okay, so now that we have our tomatoes chopped, we can go ahead and add them to our bowl. I just went ahead and cut through all of the tomatoes that were in that container. That's just because I really like tomatoes, and so I'm gonna add a bit more to my recipe. But you could also maybe put in half of what I put in, and then maybe add some like avocado or green pepper or something like that, just to add a bit more crunch. But I'm gonna go ahead and add all of these to our bowl. So we have just our tomatoes in there right now. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and open up our mozzarella, and I'm going to go ahead and slice that up as well. So with the mozzarella, I chose to use kind of whole mozzarella. This one came pre-sliced, so that's kind of nice. But I'm gonna go ahead and slice it up a little bit more. But what you could do as well, if you didn't want to kind of take the time to kind of chop your own, is you can just use shredded mozzarella in here, and then it's as easy as just throwing in some of the shredded mozzarella into the bowl. But I went ahead and went with this instead, but you can do either. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these into kind of little cubes here. That'll be easy to toss into our chopped caprese salad. Okay, so we have our chopped mozzarella, and now we're gonna do kind of the same thing we did with the tomatoes. We're just gonna go ahead and put our chopped mozzarella cheese in with our tomatoes in this big bowl we have. Now in our bowl, we have our tomatoes and our mozzarella. The only other thing that we're gonna need to chop is going to be our fresh basil. So this is one you're gonna wanna make sure that you wash it first, and we'll go ahead and chop it up and add it to our big bowl here. All right, so I washed off our basil. One thing I also like to do is kind of dry it a little bit before I cut it. Makes it a little bit easier to chop up. But we'll go ahead and chop our basil and then add it to our bowl here. So I'm just doing really small strips of the basil. You can I'll show you here. So you can kind of see I'm doing some small strips of basil. Okay, so our basil is chopped, and we are ready to go ahead and add it to our bowl with our mozzarella and tomatoes. So after we add our basil, kind of the next step is adding our olive oil and balsamic vinegar. So Really, you could do about a tablespoon or two of olive oil, and then the same with the balsamic. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that olive oil and a bit of this balsamic. And then what we'll do is go ahead and stir. And you can also add some salt and pepper if you'd like. I'm definitely going to add pepper to mine after I stir it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stir now. Stir our tomatoes and our basil. You can kind of see how it's all kind of coming together here as well. That's pretty much it. That balsamic gives it a really good flavor with the basil, and after you stir it, you can let it chill for about an hour or two. That helps some of the components of the salad really soak up that olive oil and balsamic, or you can just eat it right away. Either way works. It is as simple as that.